Om Namo Narayana, Jai Swaminarayan, Namaste. Welcome back. Today we are reading chapter 13 and 14 of the Ramayana. In the last chapter, in the last video, King Dasaratha just poured out his heart to his queen and his misery of the horrible, selfish things that she has said. It is quite a lesson to us. Here is a woman who may think she's doing the right thing. I get the feeling that she does think she's doing the right thing. But the fact is, she came to these conclusions and this idea via a negative source who manipulated her, who brainwashed her, for lack of a better phrase, who twisted things to make her do something that she thinks is good, but really is not. And the end result is disastrous. We get the feeling that this is not going to be good. And the king outlined in the last chapter how it's not going to be good for any of them. And I find it very interesting because I look at society today and I see a lot of people doing things that are very good in their mind. But I think to myself, are you doing this because you came to that conclusion, or because some group or the media or someone else kind of brainwashed you and pushed you and encouraged you to come to this conclusion? And also, when you look at the big picture, you might think you are doing good, but the end result, for me, is harm. Lots of people will be hurt by you. Do you see that? Do you realize it? Probably not. I'm not being specific because as I record this video, it won't be for quite a while till it goes out into the world, and this world changes very quickly and very fast. So if I bring up specific examples, by the time you see this, those examples may not be the most relevant ones. Apply to what I'm saying and the lessons of the Ramayana to whatever is happening to you right now. That's the point of it anyways. But let's dive in. Chapter 13 is called Dasaratha's Diplomacy Fails. And the king who did not merit this treatment was lying down in an unsuitable manner, like King Yathi, who had fallen from the land of Devas after his blessed deeds were exhausted. That personification of danger, who was adamant on her opinions, displaying fear though not having any fear, again urged the king for the boons that she had asked. O king, you used to boast that you are a votary of truth, and steadfast on what you do. Why are you trying to avoid granting the boons that I requested? The king, addressed this way by Kekeli, remained for some time in a state of delirium, and then angrily replied, O fatal woman, my enemy! O person who is not like a lady! After the great man Rama goes to the forest, and after I die, you can live happily after achieving your objective. When Devas ask me about the welfare of Rama after I reach there, how will I tell them about his banishment? How? If I tell them to please Kekeli, I have banished him to the forest, they will think that I am telling them a lie. Me, who was childish with great effort, I got the very great Rama, who is strong, and so how can I now forsake him? How can I banish the lotus-eyed Rama, who is valorous, well-educated, and has won over anger, and who is patient? How can I send Rama, who has the black color of the blue lotus, who has long hands, who is very strong, and who is charming in every second? He deserves pleasure, and is not suitable for sorrow. And how can I see Rama, who is caught in sorrow? Without sorrow reaching Rama, if death comes to me, I would be happy. Oh, cruel Kekeli, with evil intentions, Rama has truth as his valor and is very dear to me. So why do you want to cause harm to him? Inevitably, I will get maximus notoriety and disgrace in the world by this. When, with a nervous mind, the king was crying, the sun went down the Astran mountain, and night set in. For the king, with the anguished mind, who was lamenting, the time dragged on for 3/4 of the night, and though the moon was shining, all appeared dark to him. That very old king, breathing warmly and heaving like a sick man, stared at the sky and cried, "O auspicious-looking night, adorned with stars, do not ever give way to dawn as I do not desirous. I would salute you with folded hands and beg you to do this kindness for me. Or otherwise go away quickly, as I do not want to see the heartless, malicious Kekeli who has done such a bad thing to me." Having told like this, the king, folding his hands in salutations, tried to please Kekeli again and spoke the following: "O fortunate one, O lady, I am a humble and depressed old man with good conduct who is greatly devoted to you. Please do this favor, especially because I am a king. O lady with a fair hip, all that I have has not been told to anyone, and oh, young ones, as you are very good-hearted, so please do me this favor. O queen, be pleased, let this very big kingdom be given to you by Rama. O lady with long eyelashes, O lady with elegant hips and charming eyes and a pretty face, you will be doing this to me, Rama, to the world, to the great teachers, and to Bharata." Hearing the pitiable wail of the king with good thoughts, with a stable mind, whose eyes were reddened and filled with tears, and who was pitiably wailing, that wicked, malicious woman did not obey him. Seeing that his beloved wife was not pleased in spite of his humble request, and was urging him to banish his son, again the king fainted and fell on the ground, overcome with grief. Like this, the grieving, very intelligent king spent the night, breathing heavily, and after the end of the night the great king stopped his attendants from waking him. Thus ends chapter 13. Chapter 14 is called Coronation Day. That sinner looked at the scion of the Ichvaku clan, who had been tortured on account of sorrow regarding his son, and who had lost his senses and was writhing on the floor, and said, "After hearing about the promised boons, why are you acting like a dejected man and lying on the floor as if you have committed sin? You should maintain your dignity. People who are conversant with Dharma say that telling truth is a great virtue, and I have told you your duty if you are going to depend on truth. O king, Sabya the king kept up his promise to the hawk and gave his own body and attained the highest state. In the same way, the illustrious Halarka, when a Brahmin who had mastered the Vedas begged from him, plucked his own eyes out and gave it to him. The ocean, who is the lord of the rivers, who follows the truth, even on days of high tide, does not cross the thin boundary of its shores. Truth is a word that is Brahman. Dharma is installed on truth, and truth is the never-dying Vedas, and only by depending on truth you can attain the highest state. O good man, if your brain is firmly fixed on Dharma, follow truth, and fulfill the boons given to me. Are you really a boon giver? As per request, for the sake of fulfilling your Dharma, Rama may be exiled to the forest. I am repeating this thrice. O husband, at this time, if you do not fulfill my request, it means you have forsaken me, so I will give up this life." By the urgings of Kekeli, done without any hesitation, the king felt trapped in the noose of his promise, like Mahabali got trapped in the noose set by Indra. Due to the heart beating fast, his face became ashen and pale, and he was like a bull tortuously moving between the yoke and the wheel. That king, with blurred eyes and very poor vision, with great difficulty and courage, found his footing, stood up, and said to Kekeli, "O sinner, I married you according to Vedic rituals, with fire as the witness, and now I will give you up along with your son begotten through me. O lady, the night has gone away, and the sun is about to rise. My guru and others will now definitely hasten me to go get ready for the coronation of Rama with the preparations already made. O woman of inauspicious practices, if you prevent Rama's coronation, then you and your son would not be eligible to do water-based funeral rites to my dead body. I am not capable of seeing their cheerless, joyless, downcast faces, having seen them enjoying pleasures." While the great king was talking to her like this, the night with the moon and the stars faded away and the auspicious day dawned. Afterwards, that Kekeli with sinful behavior, who was an expert in speech, but rendered speechless due to the great anger, again spoke these harsh words to the king. "O king, why are you speaking these words of venomous gain? It is proper for you to summon immediately Rama, who has not suffered any pain. Only after crowning my son and banishing Rama to the forest, and seeing me without any rivals, you would have done your duty." Like a well-bred horse lashed by the sharp whip, the king was greatly agitated by the words, and said, "I am fettered by Dharma, and my intelligence has vanished, and I want to see my eldest son, who is virtuous and beloved." By that time the night had lifted and gave way to morning, and the sun had risen, and the auspicious star had also come. And sage Vashista, surrounded by several disciples of good character, after assembling the required materials, entered the city. The streets of Ayodhya were swept and sprinkled with water, and flowers of different hues were spread on them. The great flags also had been hoisted and decorated with flower garlands. The roads were crowded by people who were in a joyous mood, and for the sake of the coronation of Rama, festivities were being held in various places around the city. The people were anxiously crowding everywhere. Sandalwood and other incense were burnt everywhere, and the city resembled the capital city of Indra. Vashista, who entered the city, saw the king's private apartments, which were graced with very learned Brahmins who were experts in rituals relating to the rules of conducting a yagna. Several assistants and other eminent Brahmins were also present. That great sage, greatly pleased, entered the private apartments and passed through a large number of people. Sage Vashista saw at the entrance of those apartments of the king, a tiger among men, the very pleasing Sumatra, who was a minister as well as the charioteer. The sage, who had a great lustre, told the son of a charioteer, "Please announce my arrival to the king. Here are pots of Ganga water, and also golden pots with water of the ocean. Here is the auspicious seat made of umdumbara wood for the installation ceremony. All kinds of seeds and perfumes, and gems and honey, curd, ghee, and puffed rice, durba, flowers, milk, 8 pretty maids, the elephant in a rut, the luxurious chariot drawn by 4 horses, a sword, a good bow, a vehicle accompanied by men resembling the moon, umbrella, white fans, and golden vessels tied with golden ropes, a pale-colored bull, a good strong horse with 4 teeth, a throne, tiger skin, sticks for the fire sacrifice, all kinds of musical instruments, and courtesans, and well-decorated women, priests and Brahmins, cows and sacred animals and birds, inhabitants of towns and villages, along with other societies and merchants, and many others speaking sweet words, and also kings, are all brought together and here for Rama's glorious coronation. So please, please bring the king here with haste, since Rama has to be installed soon, when there is a Pusha Nakshastra." Hearing these words, the great son of the charioteer entered the palace, praising the tiger among kings. The guards at the door, being desirous of the king's interests, were not competent to stop the old Sumatra, who was liked by the king. Going nearer the king, but not knowing his state of mind, he started praising him in very complimentary, pleasing words. And then the chariot entered the apartment of the king, and with folded hands showered praises on the king which were appropriate. "Let the splendid ocean rise along with the rise of the sun. Be pleased to get up with a happy frame of mind. Just as Mathali the charioteer wakes up Indra, who is the conqueror of all asuras at the present time, I also wake you up. Like the Vedas with the Vedangas wakes up the self-born Brahma, in the same way I am waking you up now. Like the sun and moon support the life of all beings of earth, in the same manner I am awaking you now. O glorious king, clad in auspicious cloths suitable to the occasion, please get up like the sun coming out of the Maru mountain. O son of the Kushtya clan, let the sun and the moon, Shiva and Kubera, Varuna, Agri, and also Indra bless you with prosperity. O great king, the goddess night has passed by. After acquainting yourself with tasks which have been done so far, do whatever is necessary for the coronation of Rama. All the citizens of your kingdom have arrived saluting you, and the great sage Vashista, who is a godlike Brahmin, is waiting for you at the gates. O king, quickly give the order for the coronation of Rama. Like the cow without the keeper, the army without the commander, night without moon, cows without a bull, would be the kingdom if it does not see its king." The king, hearing these meaningful and appeasing words, again was completely pervaded with great grief. That virtuous and glorious king, with destroyed pleasure and reddish eyes, to the great sorrow, looked up to the charioteer and said, "With words you are piercing my important parts. of my body." Having heard those words of sorrow, and having seen the pitiable king, Sumatra moved away from the place with folded hands. Due to this very miserable state, the king could not speak anything, but the diplomatic Kekali said to Sumatra, "O Sumatra, excited by happiness due to the thought of Rama, the king could not sleep all through the night and is very tired, and so charioteer, rush out and bring illustrious Prince Rama without any hesitation and delay. Please be safe." He, thinking of that auspicious event, felt happy with the king's order and quickly went away. Sumatra thought that, summoned by Kekali, Rama, the follower of Dharma, would definitely come here for the purpose of the crowning. Deciding like this, that charioteer with great joy came out of the palace with an idea of going and meeting the great Rama. Sumatra, having left the auspicious private apartment, which was like an ocean, saw ahead of him crowds of people thronging the entrance. Then, after immediately moving and reaching the entrance, he saw several kings standing at the door, and he also saw kings, wealthy people, and citizens who had already come and were waiting there. Thus ends chapter 14. I want to make note of something at the beginning of this chapter that sort of connects to what I said at the beginning of this video. We notice how Kekali talks about Dharma and says this and that, and, "Oh, king, you have to do this," and she weaves this philosophical support for her actions. And the king, overwhelmed with grief, just, it's just as he's befuddled. He doesn't know what to do. He's lost to himself. His mind is broken. How often, though, do we see people who are actually evil, yet they weave these arguments that seem so lucid and seem so sound and philosophically, they're right on, but they're not. And we don't see the king pulling her argument apart here. He's in no place to do that. But she has created an argument that sounds on the surface valid, but really isn't, and thus is using his emotions, maybe not ignorance, but certainly the moment, the ignorance of the moment, as he's so lost in his emotions. She's using that against him. She's taking these words and deceptively using them against him. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. I don't know what to do." But it's all deception. I bet if we went back and reread that and pulled apart, we would find that it's not really completely a sound argument. It just sounds on the surface sound, and thus we don't dig into it. This is what happens, I think, a lot. We see this all around. We see people all the time give these very solid arguments. "Well, you should do this because X, Y, and Z." And on the surface, it sounds like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I gotta do it." And we're so overwhelmed and taken aback that, like the king, we don't sit there and go, "Okay, well, let me think about, is what you're saying actually legit? Is the queen actually giving legitimate Vedic philosophy, theology here, ethics, whatever you want to call it? Or is she using a bunch of words and putting it together in a way that sounds good on the surface?" And I think this is so reflective of society today. I think it's stupidly reflective of society today. People do this all the time, and we are fooled by it. And we think because we are fooled, "Oh, well, she's right. She must be right then." But just because we're fooled by it doesn't make something right. And that is worth pondering. That's the lesson to take away from the Ramayana. And this is more than just an epic story. This is lessons for all of us, though it may take some digging in to find those lessons. They are here. And thoughts, comments, please share what you think down below. And until next time, thank you for watching. Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Swaminarayan.